who I believe and who I know is the greatest governor in the history of Texas. Our great Governor Greg Abbott.
Give it up for Chris Spencer. Proud to be with you here today and to get to visit with you here during the course of early voting on the eve of a primary election next week. I know that it may be cold outside, you may have other things to do. I'm proud to see so many people crowded into this room because what we're working on is incredibly important for your lives, for your future. We've got a young man right here. Are you in school?
Homeschool. Homeschool.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you're getting an education in government class right here today.
That's right.
But I called upon him because listen, one thing all of us have to be working on together, and that's to make sure that we build safe communities, strong communities, and do things to help everybody in this room, but also to build a pathway for future generations like his, to make sure that he is going to inherit the same Texas that we inherited, and we keep Texas Texas. And listen, that's why it's so important that we send Chris Spencer to the Texas legislature. Because here's the deal, that I see this every day. Y'all may hear about this, you may feel it a little bit, but I want to make sure that you fully understand it. And that is that you all have values that are unique to the Paris, Texas area, unique to North Texas and East Texas, that I gotta tell you, it won't surprise you, those values are far different than the values of Austin, Texas. And the other thing though is that the election taking place now, it's not a general election. This is a primary election voted on by Republicans, where you're seeking to cast a ballot, you're seeking to elect a person who shares your values, who will promote your values. And you gotta know, the fact of the matter is that Van Deaver, the current representative for this House district, he says one thing here and goes to Austin, Texas and does another thing. And the fact of the matter is you're voting in a Republican primary. He goes to Austin, Texas and votes time and time and time again with Democrats as opposed to Republicans. And so you cast your vote, which is incredibly valued, only to see that vote eroded and contradicted from your values when Gary Van Deaver cast a vote in Austin, Texas. That's why I wanted to be here with you to explain this more fully, to help you understand exactly what's going on. First, let's talk about some pocketbook issues. One thing that everybody in America, and even in Texas, are dealing with, and that is the Biden inflation and the Biden economy and what he's doing. And listen, you know, he talks about the economy, he's doing well, whatever he says. The fact of the matter is the price of eggs, the price of groceries, the price of gas, and the price of a home, the price of everything continues to skyrocket. And so the least that we can do in Texas is to try to lighten the load on your pocketbook. That is in part what I did this last session. Despite facing challenges from the Texas House of Representatives, during the regular session, I fought to provide you a property tax cut. The House was unable to deliver it. I called a special session after special session until I finally got them to agree to a property tax cut. And when we did, they delivered the largest property tax cut ever in the history of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Here's the point I want to make, and that is when it comes to fiscal responsibility, you need someone who is fiscally responsible, who's going to be very tight-fisted when it comes to spending your money. but also a lot freer when it comes to cutting your taxes. And that's exactly what Chris Spencer will do. So let me share this with you. If there's some way, because this is not public information yet, if there's some way that we can just keep within this room, what I'm about to tell you. I'm pretty good about that. All right. Because the Texas economy is doing so incredibly well right now, when we go into this next session, when hopefully you've sent Chris Spencer to Austin, Texas, it looks like we may be sitting on another budget surplus of about $20 billion. And here's the deal. One thing Chris and I know, and that is that money doesn't belong to the state of Texas. That's your money. And you deserve to have it returned to you with another huge property tax cut. And that's what Chris will help deliver for. Oh, I didn't see her down there. Another young one we're fighting for. And that is, listen, we got a problem. We got a problem coming across the border in the state of Texas. That's right. Now, hold on. I'm not talking about the southern border. We got another problem coming across our border, and that is a woke left agenda that's sweeping across the country. And there's no wall that can be built to stop the woke left agenda. But it does not mean that we cannot fight back against that woke left agenda and make sure that one of those issues came up during this past session. I worked with a woman named Riley Gaines, who is an elite. Yes. Okay. So Riley Gaines, some of you know who she is. She was a young woman who began training to be an elite swimmer from an early age and went on to college to the University of Kentucky and beat women after women after women, winning trophies and championships and things like that until the NCAA, which regulates college athletics, they changed the rules to be more woke and more leftist. They made Riley Gaines swim not only against other women, but against a man who identified as a woman. It's outrageous. Amazingly, Riley tied the man that she swam against. But astonishingly, the NCAA gave the award to the man, not to Riley Gaines. Listen, this whole thing is outrageous and wrong, and that's why I worked with Riley Gaines and I signed a law saying no men in women's sports. But it doesn't end there, because as we gather in Paris, Texas, there are challenges that are circulating around the state, especially in our education system, in our schools, where they are trying to cram down a woke left agenda on our kids. Glad that you're homeschooled, because you're not, I assume that you're not seeing this.
Mom back there say no.
So here's the deal. In the Dallas Independent School District, and I heard the same thing is happening in a school district up near Amarillo, of all places. They have these resource guides where they educate families in the school district about how the students in the school district can change their genders. This is outrageous. What in the world? Why are they spending time on changing genders when they're not spending enough time on educating our kids about math and reading and writing? So one thing that Chris agrees with me on, among other things, and that is we will use and fund our schools to educate our kids, not to indoctrinate our kids. Then recently there surfaced this story out of Lewisville, Texas. Some of you have heard about the communities. It's a suburb west of Dallas, Texas. And at a high school there is a man who is a teacher who goes to school Yeah, exactly. So you saw it, dressed as a cross-dresser. Sometimes wearing a tutu, sometimes wearing a dress, wearing high heels. Think about this. Think about the kids in that class when the teacher is trying to teach them. Are they learning their lessons? Are they focused on their lessons? Well, let me ask you this question, which is really the most important question. If you were a parent of a child who had that teacher, should you be able to have the right to remove your child from that school? Yes. Absolutely. Here's the problem though. Under current Texas law, if your child was stuck with that teacher, you would not have the ability to choose another school for your child, and that is wrong because it denies your God-given right to choose the best pathway for your child. So this issue about empowering parents to choose the school that's best for their child is something that's extraordinarily popular in this district. If you recall, when you voted in the primary 2 years ago, there was a ballot initiative on that ballot that asked you, do you support school choice or not? And something like 86 or 88% of you agreed, yes, you support school choice. Despite that fact, your current state representative voted with all of the Democrats and just a handful of Republicans to deny your ability to have school choice in the state of Texas. When you send Chris Spencer to Austin, Texas, he will fight for that 86% of you, but also for 100% of you. Because get this is the package deal I put together to try to make sure we got something passed that would empower parents, but also improve our education system. It provided school choice for parents. It added $6 billion more for public education. It included a lot of money to increase teacher pay, and it got rid of the STAR test in the state of Texas. As enticing as that is, Gary Van Deaver voted against it. Chris Spencer will support that and deliver not only more funding for education and teacher pay raises and getting rid of the STAR test, but he will ensure every parent in this district has the right to choose the school best for their child. So because of things like this and other reasons, that I gotta tell you, I simply don't trust Gary Van Deaver when it comes to the most important issue in the state, and that is to secure the border. I do, however, trust Chris Spencer because this is his number one issue, and he will work with me to ensure Texas does even more to secure our border. What's going on by Joe Biden is outrageous and is dangerous, is deadly, to be honest, but also violates the laws of the United States of America. Now listen, I know it seems like we've been under this cloud of illegal immigration for a very long time, and so it's so easy for people to forget that just 4 years ago, we had the lowest illegal immigration in like 45 years. And it's because President Trump put into place 4 policies. One is the remain in Mexico. Second is Title 42. Third is to end, catch, and release. And the fourth is to build a border wall. Yeah. That's what it took. And then, there you go. And then when Joe Biden got into office, he used executive orders to eliminate all of those policies. And he opened up the border to everybody coming across from the entire world. People have been coming in from more than 150 different countries across the globe, including people who are known terrorists crossing our borders, including people that were wanted for murder, including people who crossed the border and committed murder here in the state of Texas. Not to mention all the deadly fentanyl that's come across the border and the human trafficking and all that kind of stuff. It's outrageous. But at the same time, what Joe Biden has done is he's not following the laws already passed by Congress. Do Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, Biden was telling you and his fellow Americans that he needed Congress to pass more laws in order for him to be able to take some action? Well, you gotta have it right. So she said, he creates a crisis, and now he's a superhero. He did create a crisis, but he ain't no hero. He is an accomplice. He's the cause of murder. That woman who got killed in Athens, Georgia, should be alive today. She was only killed because of the policies that Joe Biden has allowed in the United States of America. But here's the deal. I want to share some information with you, so that when your friends, your neighbors, or coworkers, whoever, when they're talking with you about these border policies, I'm going to arm you with information so you will know. Because Joe Biden, get this, Joe Biden has spent less time on the border than I've spent with you right now in Paris, Texas. And then when he heard that Donald Trump is going to the border tomorrow, and by the way, I'm going to be there with him. Biden realized he was going to look really bad if he didn't go down there, and so he's going to be going down to a different area of the border, and it's going to be a sanitized version of it, and he's not going to have a clue what's really going on. In fact, does he have a clue about anything? But let me go back to what I was going to say, because I want to arm you with this information. There are 3 laws that exist, passed by Congress already, that empower President Biden to do what needs to be done to secure the border. Law number 1 requires the Biden administration to deny illegal entry into the country. He's not denying illegal entry. He's aiding and abetting illegal entry into the country. Law number 2, passed by Congress, requires the Biden administration to detain anybody who does come across the border illegally. He's not detaining them. He's letting them loose, like this Venezuelan who killed a woman in Georgia, to go around the country and wreak havoc. Law number 3, Congress requires the Biden administration to build border barriers, like walls or other things like that. Biden has not lifted a finger to build any barrier. The only thing Biden has done about barriers is he has worked to try to tear down the barriers that Texas put up. It is outrageous what he's doing. And because we face this imminent danger, because more than 8 million people have crossed the border illegally, and we are dealing with an invasion, that's exactly why I use my authority under Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution to declare an invasion and for Texas to defend itself. So let me tell you everything that we're doing. Number 1, Texas is the only state in the history of the United States to build our own border wall. And know this, is the exact same wall that Trump put up. The difference, however, is because of the money we've been able to dedicate to it, because we've been working on a fast track. When you look at the amount of wall that we have already built and the amount of wall that's under construction right now, Texas has built more of the Trump border wall than Trump has built in the state of Texas. Second thing, do you remember those big orange buoys that we put into the Rio Grande River? Yeah. And so those buoys, they were designed by the Border Patrol to be effective at denying illegal entry into the country. And Biden wouldn't put them in there, but I talked to the Border Patrol and we said, heck yeah, we'll put them there in the river. And we put them there, and what do you think Biden did? He filed a lawsuit to put a stop to it. That lawsuit is in the Federal Court of Appeals right now. But also right now, as we gather in Paris, Texas, those buoys remain in the world. Third thing we did, there's a massive between Mexico and Texas. It is 20 times, 30, 50 times the size of the restaurant that we gather in here today. And on this island, there was nothing more than cane and trees and shrubs and brush that were packed more close together than what you all are packed in here today. And that island is owned by the state of Texas. But the cartels have taken it over, and they use it as a stash location where they would move migrants and move drugs and keep them on the island, and at the right time, move it from the island to the state of Texas. When we learned about what was going on, I ordered the Texas National Guard, you go seize that island and reclaim it for the state of Texas. They did was to use bulldozers to move dirt and land from the state of Texas out to the island to build a land bridge so that they then could use and get bulldozers over to the island itself. And they bulldozed down every single thing on that island so that it was as flat and as clean as the floor that we are on here today. The only thing that is standing on that island right now is the flag of the great state of Texas. Another thing that the National Guard does, they are building this military-grade razor wire. They built more than 100 miles of it, and it is impenetrable. People cannot get through it, and that's exactly why this wire alone has repelled and returned back to Mexico more than 100,000 people who are trying to enter illegally. And they do a terrific job. And then we came to that park in Eagle Pass, Texas, called Shelby Park. This was ground zero for illegal border crossings. You would have 3,000, 4,000, sometimes 5,000 or 6,000 people crossing there a day. And it's about a 50-acre park. And it was being controlled and operated by the Border Patrol. But that park didn't belong to the Border Patrol. That park was in the state of Texas. And so I used my authority under Texas law to order the National Guard, you go seize that park, take control of it, and wire that park shut. And one day, when the sun rose the next day, that park was completely wired shut. And it is keeping out illegal immigrants as well as keeping out the Biden administration that was using it as a location in which to stockpile the illegal immigrants who were coming across the border that the president would send around the entire country. And get this, since we've taken over that park, for example, just over the past week, there's no longer thousands of people coming across the border. There's not hundreds of people coming across the border. There's not dozens of people coming across the border. Over the past week, there's been an average of 6 people coming across the border a day. And most of them are arrested by the Texas Department of Public Safety. When you look at all this added together, you see a dramatic shift taking place. And in fact, I've angered one of my fellow governors. It's going to make you happy. I've angered Gavin Newsom. Because here's what's going on. So if you look at the entire length of the border from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean, Texas represents about 2/3 of that border. And for the first year or so of the Biden administration, Texas was getting at least 2/3 of the illegal crossings, if not more. Then after Texas began putting up a stiff resistance, and especially now, those people who get here by the drug cartels, they're no longer coming to Texas. Now, more than 70% of the people crossing the border illegally are going to California. So the drug cartels have learned what everybody in this room has said many times before, and that is don't mess with Texas. So the real reason why I go through all this explanation, I can tell you more, but there's so much going on. In fact, I will tell you one more thing, and that is to ensure that Texas will have a permanent presence down there securing the border. 2 Fridays ago, I announced that Texas is building our own National Guard military base right there on the border. It will house up to 2,300 National Guard soldiers that will be right there on the border, just south of Eagle Pass, Texas, to make sure they will be able to do even more to secure our border. But listen, all of these things I'm talking about, I need partners in the legislature to help me get those things done. Whether it be funding or strategies or ideas or laws passed, like the law that I signed that makes it illegal for anybody to cross the border and authorizes every law enforcement officer in the state to arrest anybody who crosses the border illegally. But I need things like that. I need people to have a commitment, a passion to ensure that he is doing everything possible to secure the border, and that is Chris Spencer. I trust him. I know that you can trust him also. I know this is the #1 issue in this district. You have to have a warrior ready to fight for you and go to work every day committed to that fight, working with the governor, not working against the governor. And that is why we need Chris Spencer in Austin, Texas. And just know this, unless and until Joe Biden steps up and does his job to secure the border, Texas will continue to bus those migrants to sanctuary cities across the entire country. So let me just close with this. I've talked a lot about Chris. He's a great candidate and make a great difference. But this election actually is not about Chris. It's not about Gary Van Diep. This election is about you all. It's your values that are an issue. It's your families. It's your kids. It's your future that's on the ballot. This is a time for you all to be warriors. You got to fight to make sure we win this election. We got an incumbent who's going to fight and use a lot of money, some of it coming from organizations that actually support Democrats, who would be casting a vote that is contrary to what you want to see done. And so we need everybody in this room to go fight in this battle to win this election that's going to take place just next Tuesday. And it's going to take more than yourselves. It's going to take your family members, your friends, your co-workers, your neighbors, anybody that you know. You need to get them and get them out to vote. And remember this also. Remember what Donald Trump said 2 weekends ago, and that is, don't wait until election day. Go cast your vote early. Now, there's something, I don't know if you guys know, but I grew up in Longview, Texas. And there's something that my parents taught me there, that your parents taught you. And many of you here are parents, and I bet you taught your kids the same thing. So much so you can complete this sentence. Do not put off until tomorrow. Exactly right. So why in the world would you violate that and wait until March the 5th to go vote? Go vote today. I brought with me, I thought I had it with me. I don't have it, but I know there are locations nearby. You know where it is?
One location right here in Lamar County. Y'all know where it is, right? Yeah. That's the one location in Lamar County that's early voting.
So
Right at the post office.
it's a few blocks from here?
Yeah.
Okay, so get this. So that location is a few blocks from here. I can tell you this much. Me in a wheelchair, I can roll over there in about 10 or 15 minutes. I know that y'all can get there just as quickly. So before you go to anything else, I want you to leave here, if you have not yet, go there and go vote, bank your vote, get it in. And because you guys have been such great patriots, because you're warriors to win this election, I'm gonna stay here and take a picture with everybody who wants a picture, and then you go cast your vote. Thank you all, God bless you all.
Okay, folks, let's give it up one more time for the great Governor Greg Abbott.